Turn a pattern into an inky outline overlay with the use of the Ripple filter. Hi, this is Jennifer Juris from Digital Scrapper, the very best place on the web to find complete and professional instruction for digital scrapbooking. We help you get your stories told. This video is being filmed in Photoshop Elements, but the instructions are exactly the same for Adobe Photoshop except where noted. Begin in expert mode by opening the paper that comes in the download. This paper works well for this tutorial because the pattern is clearly defined with clean lines, the pattern is in good contrast to the rest of the paper, and the pattern is medium to large in size. So once you have the paper open, in the menu bar choose File, Duplicate to create a copy. For Photoshop users, you'll choose Image Duplicate, and then in the dialog box click OK. Now you can close the original paper file. Now press the letter D to reset the color chips to the default of black over white. To create the outline overlay, we first need to select the pattern, which in this case is the polka dots. To do that, get the magic wand tool, and in the tool options, click on the new selection icon, set the tolerance to 32, uncheck Sample All Layers and Contiguous, but make sure Anti-Aliasing is checked. For Photoshop users, set the sample size to point sample. Then on the document, click once inside any one of the polka dot circles to create a selection outline around all of the polka dots. Then in the Layers panel, click on the Create a New Layer icon. In the menu bar, choose Edit, Stroke Outline Selection, and for Photoshop users, you'll choose Edit, Stroke. Then in the dialog box, set the stroke width to 10 pixels, the color to black, the location to inside, the blending mode to normal, the opacity to 100%, and uncheck Preserve Transparency, and then click OK. Now press Ctrl D in Windows or Command D on a Mac to deselect. Now we need to add the inky effect to the stroke outline. So in the Layers panel, click and drag the background layer to the trash. Then in the menu bar, choose Filter, Distort, Ripple. In the dialog box, set the amount to 500% and set the size to medium, and then click OK. Because the pattern we used had some of the polka dots hanging off the edge of the document when we selected it, the inky effect is now showing along the edges of the document where those polka dots were. I find this distracting, so I want to keep these straight inky edges from showing. To do that, we need to transform the layer. Press Ctrl T in Windows or Command T on a Mac to get the transform options. Then in the tool options, make sure Constrain Proportions is checked. For Photoshop users, you'll want to make sure Maintain Aspect Ratio is turned on. And then you can set the width or the height to 102%. Once you've done that, you can click the check mark to commit the changes. Now press Ctrl A in Windows or Command A on a Mac to select all. Then in the menu bar, choose Image, Crop, and this will get rid of the excess pixels that were hanging outside of the document boundary. Then you can press Ctrl D in Windows or Command D on a Mac to deselect. Now you can save the document as a PNG file with a unique name. I'm naming mine Inky Outline Overlay.png. So here are some tips for using your inky outline overlay after it's been added to a scrapbook page. First, recolor your overlay to coordinate with your project. To do that, click on the foreground color chip to open the color picker, and then sample a color from your project document so that it coordinates. I'm going to sample this white color here, and then click OK to close the color picker. Then in the Layers panel, make sure that your inky outline overlay layer is the active layer. Then press Shift-Alt-Backspace in Windows or Shift-Option-Delete on a Mac to fill the layer with the foreground color. For a muted look, when using the overlay over a solid background paper, you can reduce the opacity of the inky outline layer, make it softer, or you can also change the blend mode of the inky outline layer. For my case, I'm going to keep the blend mode set to normal and the opacity set to 100%. Here's the scrapbook page I made using my inky outline overlay. The overlay really helps add visual interest to my background that would otherwise be too simple. I really like how recoloring my overlay to white helped to brighten the overall look of the layout. If you'd like to learn more about Photoshop Elements or Adobe Photoshop, or would like to fill in the gaps of your learning, check out Quick Learn by Linda Satgast. You'll find the link to this class as well as a coupon code in the manual that accompanies this video. So that's how you create an inky outline overlay using the ripple filter. I'm Jennifer Juris for Digital Scrapper.